gods don't like it, the righteous love this shit. This for the real niggas, this for my real niggas. Never ignorant, getting goals accomplished.
Welcome to Rhyme and Reason. I'm your host Ishmael Muhammad, and today we'll be talking about how the pen is mightier than the sword, how it went from poetry and poems to what we consider hip-hop today. We're going to be bringing you the truth about it, and you know, always on this channel, we always go so deep, we take it to the root, and we get into how these fraternal gangs are running everything. So first off,
the earliest known poem in the world was written over 4,000 years ago. It's called the Epic of Gilgamesh, inscribed on clay tablets in ancient Mesopotamia. This poetic masterpiece tells the story of a legendary king's journey through friendship, loss, and immortality.
So 4,000 years ago, even before the Bible and things, people was writing poetry, writing rhymes. There was always poets. Someone on the corner writing rhymes or putting poems together, doing it to impress women. Solomon in the Bible, he's a poet. So poetry has always been a part of how men got other men intrigued. Language has always been flipping of the tongue, have been a means of bringing people in awe and translating things to people on things that you want to know. Talking in parables. Jesus talked in parables. In the 1950s, the Jubilaries was the first to really start doing the rhyme and hip hop style. The record Noah was basically them rhyming and spitting while the backup singers hummed the type of beat that the rhythm, they kept the rhythm with the hum while the Jubilaries went back and forth in the cypher style start. Then you get to the 60s, Cassius Clay recorded I Am the Greatest. It's in 1963, where on Columbia Records before he was even the heavyweight champion of the world. So you know he was picked to do good things. Before he even changed his name, he had a record deal, signed to Columbia Records, I Am the Greatest, where he spit rhymes in front of it. It sounded like he was in a studio audience and he spit rhymes. It's like 10 songs. So you can even look that up. Then in 1970, the Poets came out. These songs like Run Nigga, Niggas Are Scared of Revolution, and other things. They were the type that had nigga and were talking all that revolution thing on record in 1970. So all that thinking that rap was the ones who started nigga. No, rap is coming from the streets saying nigga this, nigga that, niggas come together, basically niggas unite. This is 1970. Then in the mid-70s, people like African Bada and people Grandmaster Flat, the Grandmasters. You hear that term, Grandmaster, that is a part of what? The Masonic thing. That's how you know. They were the ones who put it on the map for the masses. And look up what a Grandmaster is in Masonic literature, and you'll see hip-hop is basically like everything else. These Masons controlled it from the gate. That's why you got in your B-boy stance. That's what something in the B-boy stance. Look up what the B-boy stance looks like. The B-boy stance is taken from the occult. standing up with one leg is also a Mason thing. So it's always been Masonic. Rap was really big after that Sugar Hill Gang stuff came out. In these times, you could not just record a record. You could record on your phone, youngster. You don't need these people to record. There was a time we had to hone our skills on the corner. What I mean by that is you battled on the corner to say that you was a good MC. I couldn't just come out and say I was a good rapper because we could not record nowhere. You couldn't get a beat was thousands of dollars. To get in the studio was more thousands of dollars. So what did you do? You went home, you wrote, come out, you like, I'm a rapper. First thing they gonna say is, let me hear a rap. You spit your rap. It was to the point where if you couldn't spit a rap like it was on the record and was messing up, you wasn't considered a rapper. In a battle rap, when you rapped against somebody, if you messed up in that rap, you was considered messing up in the battle, so you would lose points. When today, when they do these battle rap things, they can stop and go back and go over the rap again. That was not contender. And even though they're not even sounding like they're rapping on the record, they sound like they're talking and using words almost like poetry. That's not what was considered a battle rap back in the day. A battle rap was something you wrote. Things that got you to win the battle was all the oohs, the ahs, and you still had to spit. It's like one of the iconic battles back in my day, MCJT versus MC1. The battle was so intense that JT would mess up because the crowd got so loud, and he lost points because he would lose his rhyme. That's how it basically was. You had to be flawless with your raps. When today it's not like that. And now they got these studios where they ain't even rapping the whole verse. They kick 2 lines, come back, kick 2 more lines, come back, kick 2, and then they make a whole verse. They can't spit. That's not spitting. When we put our stuff down, there was a time that when we recorded, even when we got to start recording, not my man Marv Money's with a DJ. If you even got a DJ, as soon as they press play until the end, you was flawless with the DJ being flawless, scratching in the break beats. Unlike today, where you could put lyrics into AI. It's got to the point where AI has changed the game, where I know people that can't even flow and AI will give them flow, but it doesn't matter. Talent will always crush that. So there was a time where the content of rapping was about how good you was. It was an exaggeration about who you were. You exaggerated about being rich. You exaggerated about how good you were, and you started clever schemes. That was in the 80s. But then when the West Coast rap came out and they started talking about more things as far as street life, NWA comes out. But even then, we knew that NWA, that Eazy-E wasn't still gangbang. He never claimed the gang. He never was a gangbanger. So we had different things at that time. We had Eazy-E, plus you had Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. But Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince were not considered not lanes or something. They weren't considered not being able to rap. So after NWA coming into the 90s, that's when a lot of what they wanted to call gangster rap came out. They started calling it gangster rap. The rappers didn't call it gangster rap. The beginning of hip hop, the mid 80s and beginning of the 90s, hip hop was a ghetto thing. It was about people being from the ghetto. It wasn't about you had to do crime. Now it's about you do crime. In the ghetto, you either have heart or you don't have heart. It was never about the crimes you do. So rapping about crime, you was from that area, so you knew about crime. You knew about the criminals. I was never a Crip, but you could catch me with Crips all the time because of the ghetto that I was from. So all of that stuff, you got these clowns now talking about, oh, such and such was a dancer. Back in 89, we all danced. Everybody was a dancer. We was trying to get the best dance moves to go to the party, but that still didn't mean when you come outside that wasn't gonna have fights, that there wasn't gonna be guns pulled. That was ghetto living. It wasn't about perpetrating and thinking this and that. There was gangbangers and there was non-gangbangers. You weren't just tough because you hung with a gang. You was tough because you had heart to fight no matter what. Just like they say, oh, Tupac, he was a ballerina. people don't even understand in the 80s being a ballerina was not a problem because one of the best wide receivers in the game at the time, Lynn Swann, did ballerina. He did that. So that made us feel like, oh, you got Lynn Swann. That's like today if one of the great receivers in the NFL is promoting being ballet. That's the same thing that was going on at the time. Ballet, dance, and all of these things. But it wasn't about being a criminal that made you tough. Since now it's not even in the ghetto no more. Everybody has a voice now. To the point where if you wasn't from the ghetto, you didn't listen to hip hop. And most hip hop in the ghetto was basically black. That's why people didn't listen to hip hop in the 80s. That's why it wasn't a big deal as far as the #1 music. White people had their own thing. They had heavy metal. Heavy metal was supreme. That's why you could go look at a Rocky movie in the 80s and it's all heavy metal. You come back to Creed, it's all hip hop due to the powers that be that run the record labels that are into bringing hip hop because it's #1 to everybody now. How did Eminem become big? He started rapping about his ghetto because the 2000s came. That's when they started acting like you don't have to write no more. When the 2000s came, writing became irrelevant and they're going off the hit saying anything. They're doing rituals that make them get their rhymes. So that's what it started being in the 2000s. And they're rapping about what? It became back more of excessiveness. Now it became we big gate ballers, but there's no consequence. We big gate this, but there's no consequence. In the late 80s, early 90s, there was consequences in these guys' rap. Your favorite MC will tell a story and die at the end of the day. In the 2000s, everybody became big time drug dealers and talked about no consequence. Now everybody portrayed to be such a big drug dealer. They promoted drugism, and then they had manufactured rappers that were COs or whatever, and that's when it became we could make it what we want to make it and feed to the people. Then about 2010, 2012, that's when that started dying out. And what did the record company say? Oh, we need something else. That's when they went and got them Chicago guys, those guys who was feuding in the street, rapping about what they was really doing, and the label said, well, hell, let's give them this. This killed the youth with the gangsterism. Now we could do it with this drill music. And the thing about drill music, they didn't say they wasn't drillers. They professed it. They talked about, they quote ops, and it was open warfare in the streets. While record labels gave them millions of dollars as they claimed gangs, did gang activities while signed to these major labels who gave them the millions of dollars to be these multi-gangs and cause more destruction in the hood and basically rhyme about it. Basically tell the stories in their raps, go to jail, get out, go to jail, get out. Then some just go to jail and never get out. So that's when that happened. But now at the present day, it's about the women. They have got to the women now. They just took all that shit I just talked about, how they had the men doing all the evil and all the crazy things with the pen, and how the pen started to be used against you. It's mightier than the sword, like I said, because now the pen is leading us to destruction. What I mean by us, if you fall into the culture of trying to follow this hip hop shit, period, because it's about satanic regimes and all of that. Now the women, they could just rap an Easy-E record, a Too Short record, and put a woman in it. They already got the men being punks. Now it's about the women not caring or respecting the men or their own bodies and showing how that they could do whatever as women and still think they're going to get a real man. That's why things are in chaos right now. But you as a young MC, you're the one I'm talking to. Be yourself. You don't have to follow these trends. You don't have to do these things that these people are doing, because your favorite MCs, the ones I talked about, or the ones that you know that fit the descriptions of I just talked about, they work for a regime. They're part of the five labels that they have to sing like this. Like when I went to California, when I was rapping, they told me, nigga, you gonna rap this or you ain't gonna rap. So we came back and rapped revolutionary music, the label that brings the truth to the youth. That's how we came with it. Now I got my own shit, just like you should have your own shit. There's too much things for you to be independent today, for you not to have independency in this music game. The latest independent thing that I've done right now is called Thunderstorm.
Wet like a thunderstorm, hot like an oven. You keep me coming, you keep me coming back. Wet like a thunderstorm, hot like an oven. You keep me coming, you keep me coming back. Wet.
Check that out. Produced by Jay Waller, written by me, recorded by me, mastered by me, and everything comes back to me because we do not need these labels to make me a rapper. You love this game, you stick to it and continue to make what you think is good and continue to stay in tune with yourself, because once they take your shit, they take your shit and they do exactly what they want to do with it. This is Mel Jay. This has been Rhyme and Reason. Thank you for staying this long if you have, and we will be back, God willing, for another episode. We out.
You keep me coming back. Complimenting you blushing, now we touching and rubbing, tongue kissing and hugging, now we about to be loving. Taking off each other's clothes till it amounts to nothing. It's like nothing else matters, it's about us. Our hips and rhythm thrust as we mix love juice.